We're back for another episode. We're back. I'd like to thank our incredible panel today showing up, and we have a guest. We'll interview her, or introduce her and interview her in just a minute. But first, welcome Nicole Jones-Dion.
Hello. Thanks, Anne, for having me back.
Happy to see you here. What you working on right now? Something new?
Oh no, same old, same old, same old. Trying to finish up the short film Debris, which you'll probably be hearing a lot of in today's episode, and you know, working on this ghost story for Mr. Sean Cunningham. You might know him as Mr. Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Trying to get that done, and yeah, horror stuff.
Good. More blood in your garage, I hear. We'll have to hear about that later. Welcome, Margaret Risley, all the way from Australia. How are you?
I'm great, thanks, Anne. Hi, everybody, and happy Easter to those who celebrate it. It's Good Friday here already. What am I doing? I'm hanging around waiting for producer notes and decisions and working on doing a rewrite on a horror script. So, yeah, having fun.
Super. Heidi Mastro Giovanni, welcome. I was lucky to see several of you actually in a recent trip to LA.
It was great to have you. It was great to see you. And Anne, thank you for bringing us together. Panel, I love you guys. Audience, I love you guys. Working on comedy, working on several comedy projects right now.
Great. I hope we hear more about them soon.
Yes.
Good. Eric Ingram, thanks for coming back again.
Always.
One man, we have to have a man on the panel.
That's right. And you got 100% man right here, baby. What am I supposed to say? I don't even know. Thank you for having me, and you know, I'll just do whatever. No, really it is. It's an honor to be here. Great to be with this great panel, Screenwriting World, Screenwriter World, Writers Worldwide. Thank you all for coming back for this. What episode is this? 20.
This is 27.
Oh my gosh!
They go so fast.
I know, right? I know. Oh, right now I'm working on. I got 2 comedies I'm polishing, and like I said, I'm getting close to finish on my little civil rights movie, and then I just got a call for like an option. A couple days ago, so it's like Bad News Bears with like 7-year-olds.
Oh, great,
cool.
So that's pretty cool. So hopefully, yeah, we got some stuff moving. So thank you, Lord. Let's keep going. Let's keep moving.
Keep it going. I love that. I love hearing that. And today we are really happy to have another guest on the show. I think this will be a new thing we have going. We have Dawn Fields, who is incredible, a producer, a writer. She is kind of the master of short scripts, crowdfunding. She has her own online business for teaching, screenwriting, and directing, I believe. And even some contest stuff she's got to tell us about. Dawn, welcome. We're so happy to have you here.
Hi, thank you for having me. This is awesome.
You're welcome. So what's the newest thing going on with you? I know you did Found.
Yes.
That's one of your. You got something new. You're crowdfunding too, right?
Well, yeah, Found was my most recent film. It was actually my first time as a writer-director in competition, and the first festival we went to, we won Best Short, Best Director, and we were nominated for Best Original Score and Best Cinematography. So, yeah, right out the gate like that, though, I don't know, I hope we weren't spoiled by the immediate success, but, because, you know, they say that you'll get accepted in 1 out of 10 film festivals.
Wow.
Ooh.
Gee, that's so factor that into your factor that into your budget when you're thinking about your raising money for your films. But yeah, and then I have 2 other films in post-production right now, and then another film that we're going to be launching a crowdfunding campaign for in May, which is really exciting. That'll be my next film. But we promise not to launch that one until we finish the 2 that we have in post. So depending on how long that goes. But yeah, I have a short film called The Dancer and the Boy in post-production right now, which is about a little Prodigy Ballerina, which is a lot of fun. And then the other one is Fragile Storm, which stars Lance Henriksen.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're really excited about that. And then because of, and I've actually crowdfunded 8 short films over the last 2 years, and we've raised over $100,000.
Wow.
For those films.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So what I started doing is I started teaching these webinars and seminars and online courses to teach people kind of what I've learned along the way about crowdfunding. But I found that teaching is something that I've always wanted to do, so I'm starting to love the teaching part of it so much that I'm also adding other courses.
Right.
And yeah, one of the exciting ones that we're working on right now is how to get your film submitted to IMDb.
Oh, super.
Yeah, because I cannot believe how many people come to me on an ongoing basis. A lot of people still think you have to submit your film to a film festival to get on IMDb.
Well, I love it.
Yeah,
Well, luckily we have Dawn for 2 episodes, and we will pull all this information out of her.
Whatever I can share, I'm happy to.
Good. Oh, good, good. Well, today's topic is crowdfunding. Wonder where that came from, right?
What a coincidence.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Ann Kimbrough, and I'm just happy to be back. Had a huge, great trip to LA recently, and it's great to get there to network. I recommend it highly. If you don't live there, you can always visit, right? But we're lucky that we do have a couple of our panelists that have crowdfunded. Nicole Jones-Dion has a huge big project that's just finishing up that she took to Indiegogo, wasn't it?
Yes.
And Heidi, you've done a little. Which crowdfunding service did you use?
I can't remember, but it was really good. And I want to do a little quick, keep in mind how inexpensively nowadays one can make something. So keep in mind that this really is incredibly doable.
No.
So do it. Do it.
Well, let's jump right into this topic. Dawn, just gives who should even be thinking? I mean, Heidi said do it. Who should actually be thinking of crowdfunding?
I think pretty much anybody can crowdfund. I think the people that I would maybe recommend not to crowdfund is people who have no social media presence at all. And I've actually had people at functions that I've been to recently come up to me and say, but I don't have a Facebook and I don't have a Twitter and I don't even understand the Facebook. And I'm like, if maybe get on the phone and call some people. I wouldn't really know how to help somebody like that because these days it's really, really strongly social media based.
Good point. I know, Nicole, when your project started out, what were your expectations?
Well, the film that we're talking about is Debris, my little short film that I shot back in January, and Dawn actually helped a lot with that. She helped me. She guided me through the crowdfunding process, and she was also our first AD on the shoot. So she's just a wealth of information. But I had really low expectations because we were doing fundraising in January after the holidays, and I figured no one's going to have any money. They're all going to be broke. So I set the goal very reasonably. I thought, I was like, if I can get $5,000, I'll be thrilled. I honestly wasn't sure we'd even manage to raise that, and we actually did a lot better than what I was expecting. I think we ended up exceeding the goal by like 300%. So shocking how many people actually had money left after the holidays.
Nicole, I think you're higher than that because I think you almost did 4 times your goal.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
And it helps, Nicole, I think, because a lot of people know you, and you've got a good reputation. So I think that's important because you get. I'm sure everybody gets lots of requests for crowdfunding.
Yeah, well, and that's the funny thing is I'd never gone out to anyone asking for money before, and so it being my first time. I wasn't really sure what kind of social media reach I actually had. To Dawn's point, I knew I had Facebook friends, but most of them, they're just exchanging silly dog pics and look at this funny video. Yeah, so when you're coming at people asking for money, it's a completely different dynamic, and you kind of have to swallow your pride and say, okay, this is what it's going to take to get this film made. And then I kind of went out with like my hat in hand, and then but everyone came back and they were real excited about it. It's not like, oh, you're doing us, we're doing you a favor. It's like, no, we want to be a part of this project. We want to be part of the team. And their enthusiasm was infectious and contagious. And then everyone starts talking about it, and it just kind of snowballed and took on a life of its own. And then my little tiny film turned out to be like a slightly bigger film than I was expecting. And now the pressure's on to actually make it really good because a lot of people want to watch it. So I have to make it really good.
Be careful what you wish for.
You will.
Exactly.
So Dawn, what do you have? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Marty. Go ahead, Marty.
Do you get like your concept totally ready, like I don't know, like a poster or something like that before you even go to a crowdfunding source? And what? Anne was probably going to ask this later anyway, but I'm just wondering about the process.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, what's the first step?
I'll let Dawn start with that, and then I can tell you what I did with ours.
Okay, cool.
I think the first step is, well, it depends on how much you're trying to raise, because I always tell people the strategy to raise between 1,000 to 5,000 to maybe as much as 10,000 is one strategy, and that can be accomplished pretty much by just starting with your own social circle and then hoping that it virals out slightly from there. As Nicole said, her campaign kind of took off and started viraling a little bit amongst her initial crowd. If you're trying to raise more than that, it's kind of a different strategy, because then you have to reach out to the media and to the press, and that's when you're talking about getting tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people to your website or to your campaign page, and that's a whole nother process. So to answer that question, it depends a little bit on what your goal is, but either way, it always starts with, these days, right now, the hot thing is email. You guys need to really, I cannot stress this enough, you need to start building an email list, because Facebook, the way it's changed its algorithms is 16% at best of people actually see your posts.
Wow.
And I noticed this before anybody even started pointing it out, because when we first started crowdfunding, we would post a message up on Facebook, and almost all of our donations would come from that every time we would post. And over the years, I noticed it was less and less and less, and even though I was getting more and more people in my fan base, I have 5,000 friends, and I have over 12,300 followers on top of that. But my engagement wasn't going down. Well, actually, I take that back. Engagement was going down a little bit too. But I noticed every time I posted about my crowdfunding, it was going down and down and down. And sure enough, nowadays they're saying, well, because Facebook's trying to get everybody to go to business models now, and they want you to create a page, and they want you to use their paid advertising and all this kind of stuff. So it's all very, intentional, unfortunately. So right now, the thing is, start just going through your friends, your family, your colleagues, anybody you know, and start building that email list. It's critical.
That's smart.
And I guess when you're ready to actually build your crowdfunding page, the things that you need, like Margaret was suggesting, is you really need to have high quality graphics. I've seen some campaigns that seriously look like they were designed by a 12-year-old, and that's not going to give people a lot of confidence in the end result of your project. I mean, if they're going to invest in your film, they want to feel like they're going to get something worth their while at the end of the day. And even though you can say, well, the poster isn't really indicative of what the film's going to look like, it kind of is. If you have a crappy poster, chances are your film's not going to look so great either. And the other thing, and this was the one that just was killing me, and they're like, no, you have to have a nice presentation video. And I hate being on video. This little thing that we do here is like the exception. You'll never get me in front of a camera, ever. And so I like hemmed and hawed and fought it, and they're like, no, you have to. And you have to be warm, and you have to pitch your movie. I mean, it's just like pitching to a producer. Now you're pitching to the audience and saying, hey, get excited about this and come support us, and this is why this is a great project and you want to be a part of it. And your video's got to look pretty good too, because you're making a movie. So if your video looks bad, then maybe your movie's not going to look so good either. So yeah, high quality graphics, high quality video.
So it sounds like there's a cost up front that you've got to be willing to pay to get all this set up, right, Dawn?
Yeah, unless you have, if you're in the film business, hopefully you have some friends and people that you know that'll help you pull your video together for free. But you know, to do it high end, you need a decent camera, you need a good film crew with good lighting to record it for you, and then you need editing and sound and music and all. I mean, it's a presentation.
Right.
You need all those things. Also, the other thing, going back a little bit to the marketing side of it, the other thing that's really important these days is before you launch your campaign, well, not before you launch it. As soon as you launch it, make sure all your family and friends are standing by and waiting, and they know about it. Get all of them to donate first before you launch it publicly. The worst thing you can do these days is publicly launch a $0 campaign.
Oh, that's a great tip.
So yeah, what they're saying now is that they want to see 10 to 30% of your budget already raised before you go public with it.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, again, it depends on how high your budget is. If you're only trying to raise $5,000, but still, even with that, you should be able to raise $1,500 from your family and friends. They say if you can't raise 40% of your budget from your family and friends, you're asking for too much money.
Good point. Eric, Heidi, do you guys, anyone else have a question?
Yeah, I'm more. I mean, once you get started, like you got the poster process. So you're going out to your friends, you get your 30% of your budget, and then you launch. Okay, so there's that. I kind of want to go all the way kind of back to the beginning of the concept that is going to. How are you sure that the concept is right for a short to launch as a program, as a campaign? You know what I mean? Like, I want to kind of go back to the right. I guess it's more about the writing, concept, marketing.
Sure.
Stuff you do before you actually decide, okay, we could do this as a campaign and then launch. So, either of you all speak to that, or what said, or how you decide which project, like this one is better than this one, that we could probably launch it.
Well, Nicole did yours was first a proof of concept for a screenplay, a feature, right?
Yeah. I mean, and Dawn's done a lot more, so maybe she can kind of advise us on how she picks her projects. But for me, it was. You know, I was going through you know, Hal's Screenwriting U class, and we had come up with that that section of the class where you're just coming up with like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ideas, and I hit upon this one, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I wonder what I could do with that, and then it kind of sat on a shelf for a while, and then I was like, you know what, if I don't do something with this, it's never going to go anywhere. And the concept of debris, which is the film we're talking about, is this guy finds a box washed up on the beach, and inside is a samurai sword. So I built a box, and it sat on my deck all summer long, and that was my constant reminder. I'm like, there's my box. I have to make my film. That's the box. I'm going to make this film. And it took, you know, 6 months for me to finally get around to doing it, but that box was my constant reminder that I needed to make it.
And you had a lot of people in the class supporting the concept, so that was positive.
Yeah, no, and it was kind of a proof of concept for that concept too, because I was like, is this even the right idea? Is this something that I want to try to you know, turn into a feature film? And everybody really responded well to the idea. So I'm like, all right, cool. This gives me the confidence that this could be a solid project, and it's something worth taking further.
Right, and I know, Dawn, you've turned scripts that are award winners and short film award winners, right? Into. Isn't that how you do proof of concept? You've picked.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, three of our 9 projects now. It's 8 projects already in the can, another one to come. Out of those 9 projects, 4 of those will have been winners of script contests. So we kind of knew that they were already, you know, pieces of material that people related to. But Eric, you know, the other thing too is, like, you know, in my research, I research a lot of campaigns, and I saw one just recently that it was the worst concept. The acting was horrible. It was these, like, it was clearly a project that was generated to showcase a couple of child actors in this small town community, and they blew into their $10,000 goal overnight just because everybody loves those kids and they love that family and they love supporting them. I mean, it was just dreadful, and I just was watching it every day go up and up and up, and I'm like, what is happening here? Right. But it's hard to say. You know, one of the things that I did really early on is I created a Facebook page or a Facebook group that was completely private. I invited 10, 20, 30, now it's up to like 80 people who I trusted their opinions, and I called it a private feedback group. and I would go and I would post scripts and I would post rough cuts and other things like that, and concepts and log lines, and get feedback from people that I trusted. So, you know, that's a way you could do it kind of out of the public eye. Right. But crowdfunding itself is kind of a tool that people use to prove proof of concept, because the idea is if you can't get a couple of hundred people to donate $10 to your concept, and if you have it all laid out with nice video and graphics like Nicole pointed out, if you're just not getting anybody to donate to that because they just don't care about the story, that in itself to some people is a proof of concept. But it could be failing because you're just not getting it out to enough people. Right. When I look at a campaign, I always ask them, well, how many visitors have you had versus how many people have actually donated? Because the average is 1 in 50.
Wow.
Wow.
That's big.
Yeah. So if less than 1 in 50 people who visit your site, and that's a successful campaign actually. So that gives you an indication of how many people you have to drive to your site traffic-wise.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Did anyone else have something to add? Or we might segue into learning a little bit more about Dawn, which will probably still involve some crowdfunding, right?
It always does.
It always does. But yeah, well, we definitely.
Okay, I guess before we totally leave the topic, I'm gonna just throw out like a little word of advice for anybody out there who's thinking of doing this, because the big newbie mistake I made, and Dawn warned me about it, and I didn't listen, and now I wish I had, is I was doing my crowdfunding during pre-production, and so we actually ended our crowdfunding campaign the day before we started principal photography. Don't do that. Don't. That's a very bad idea, because crowdfunding takes an enormous amount of work. If you think it's an easy way to raise money, it's not. It's incredibly time-consuming. I mean, it's wonderful, and it's a great way to reconnect with old friends and family that you haven't talked to in ages. Like I reconnected with a bunch of people from high school that I haven't talked to in years. And so that was really, this wonderful, rewarding experience, but it's incredibly time-consuming, and pre-production is incredibly time-consuming, and when you're trying to do them both at the same time, that's a problem. So don't do that.
Yeah, the other thing I want to mention too, if any of you guys are familiar with Indiegogo, up until a few days ago, actually, Indiegogo accepted PayPal and credit cards, and this is a function that like not many other platforms even offer. But what was great about it is if you did happen to butt up your crowdfunding right up against your production, the PayPal money came in instantly. So the moment somebody donated, you would get that cash, and you could use that as operating cash to move forward. Well, as of a couple of days ago, Indiegogo nixed that, and now they hold your PayPal money till 10 to 15 days after your campaign, just like they do credit cards. So these days, even more than ever, you have to plan all this out, and your money's not going to come, from most platforms, your money's not going to come for 1 to 2 weeks minimum after your campaign ends anyway. So, ask for, try to raise the total amount you need, give it a couple of weeks to come in, and then start your pre-production is kind of what I would recommend.
Another quick thing, just, if we're tossing out like best practices, try to come up with incentives that don't require production and postage. Because you'll see a lot of people that are printing up posters, or they're printing up T-shirts and all this stuff, and I kind of fell into that trap a little bit, and now I'm having to deal with having T-shirts made, and oh my God, I've got people internationally who order T-shirts, and now I have to pay international postage.
And that's another thing I warned her about.
Listen to Dawn. Oh, actually, she's over there. Listen to Dawn. That's
actually one of the first things I told you. That was like the number one thing. Yeah, try to do digital perks. Digital perks,
absolutely.
Digital perks.
And when you're figuring out your budget, don't forget that regardless of which service you use, whether it's Indiegogo or Kickstarter, they take a percentage, and it's not a small percentage, and you also have to figure in credit card fees too. So even though it might look like you've raised $10,000, you haven't. By the time everybody takes their cut, you're getting a lot less than that.
And I can actually give you what those figures are in case you're curious. With Kickstarter, it's 5% if you meet your goal, 0 if you don't, and you can add 8.3% on top of that. Or I'm sorry, total. So the credit card and PayPal processing is between 3 and 5%. So I always factor in 3.3, 3.5 seems to be what it always ends up coming out being. So with Kickstarter, if you reach your goal, you're going to pay 8.3%. With Indiegogo, if you reach your goal, you're going to pay 7.3% total fees. That's their 4% fee plus the 3.3% in payment processing. If you don't reach your goal and you do the flexible campaign with Indiegogo, you still get all your funds, but they're going to charge you 9%.
Oh, wow.
Plus the 3.3%. So you got to factor in 12.3% if you don't hit your goal.
Wow.
Well, that seems wrong.
Yeah.
Pay more if you don't meet your goal.
Well, it's incentive. They want to incentivize you to raise the most amount of money possible because that's how they make money.
And it also prevents you from setting your goal too high. It forces you to set a realistic goal instead of like, oh, it'd be great if we got $100,000, but we only got 5, so oh well. It's like.
Well, as Nicole experienced, what's all the rage right now is you set a moderately low goal and then you set stretch goals on top of that. So you make it very clear to the audience right from the start that $5,000 isn't your goal. Your goal is really $20,000, but you don't want to run the risk of not reaching your goal. So then within your campaign page itself, through graphics and really nice graphics like Nicole did, they did some really great graphics that showed what their stretch goals were, and then you kind of X them off as you hit the goal, and you go, okay, here's our next goal, and here's our next goal. That's kind of all the rage right now.
Instead of X's, we use little blood spatters.
Yeah.
Of course you did. I'm not surprised. Well, guys, I know we can continue to talk about crowdfunding, but I do want to get in and talk a little bit about Dawn's online business with webinars and what she's learned about IMDb. Those are good things.
Yeah, I don't know if it shows up in my lower third or not, but film411.com is the website that I've set up for my online courses. And screenwriting is actually not one of the things I teach yet because I'm not any kind of expert on that. I might have someone like Nicole come in and help me with that. But we do have the crowdfunding webinars and online courses that are coming, and how to load your film on IMDb. I'm also going to be doing an online course on how to set up a casting through breakdown services.
Oh, cool.
Because that's a whole process that kind of stymies people as well. So just as I go along, like things that I come up with, I create a class about it. So, like, oh, somebody would love to know this. Yeah.
That's super. Did anyone else have a question for Dawn? I know I want to save some of her wonderful stuff to talk about for the next episode.
Yeah, I think it's so, and I think that personally, for me, to be able to step out and jump into these waters, as you, for lack of a better metaphor, but to be able to say, look, okay, I have a real. I feel great about this concept, so let's see if I can do it, and then go through the steps that you guys talked about, and then not realize until you guys just said it, all the back end stuff. Like I didn't even think about PayPal amounts and this. I mean, this is what I mean. It's kind of like I think a lot of people, because I know four campaigns that they went nowhere, and it kind of killed people's spirit. Those 4 people I'm talking about, it killed their spirit because they kind of realized there's just no way around. You start going down that dark hole. And I think, I mean, Dawn, I don't know if you have books, or I don't know if you have, I know your webinar, but I don't know if you have something that can help those people who actually have a great idea, but they have no idea what to do.
Well, actually, I have 2 things for that. One is I'm creating online courses so that you can take them anytime. You don't have to wait for a webinar at a certain time or whatever. You can just go online and take the course. One of the ones I'm doing is crowdfunding basics.
Yeah.
Okay, so it'll be a smaller, shorter class that just helps you understand the whole process to make sure you even want to do it. And then the really cool thing that I'm going to do on my next film, which is coming up in May, I'm going to teach a course as I'm doing it.
Oh, cool.
So I'm going to chronicle and teach the whole process, every step of the way, because this is it'll be the first campaign where I'm trying to raise more than $20,000. Actually, I've tried in the past to do a particular film more than $20,000, but I made every mistake under the sun and it didn't happen. So this time I'm taking everything I've learned and putting it into practice for myself and going outside of my social circle and trying to raise a larger amount of money. So I'm going to chronicle that, and that'll be an online course as well, which will be very step-by-step hands-on learning experience for everybody.
Oh, I need to be in that class. I need to be in that class.
Well, you can sign up.
Oh yeah, I'm not afraid of making mistakes. That's really not it. It's not that. It's just kind of like the waters are deeper than what you think. You know,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
kinda,
sure.
You know what I mean? That's like, it was a great idea. You see people with the posters and the stuff is on. Hey, we're getting closer to our goal, and you like, wow, that seems fun. But this is the side you don't really hear about.
You don't see all the behind the scenes, you know, what is it, the man behind the curtain? You don't see all
Exactly.
that.
Right.
But
So
yeah,
that's what's fascinating.
if you guys can go to film411.com and join my email list, then you'll get notified of every upcoming class.
Okay.
And also, it's like the Indiegogo change. If you get on that list, I email out those too. So every time a big like Kickstarter just had a big policy change too. They don't use Amazon payments anymore. And that was a big problem for them and kind of cumbersome. So they've gotten rid of Amazon payments now, and they're using Stripe, which has made their whole payment system easier and faster as well. So those are the kinds of things that I keep you guys updated on.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank
That's cool.
you.
I imagine they're getting fine-tuned all the time.
They are, which is why I have to have the email list and the updates, because as soon as you record a class and put it out there, something's changed.
Yeah. Well, super. Guys, I think this gave a lot of people some real needed insight into crowdfunding, and I'm thrilled that we introduced everyone to Dawn, and they can find her site, and I know it's up on when your name's there, but I'll also put it up in the box so everyone can find her easily. I want to close. We have a quick question, and this one I don't know how many of you write long scripts, but someone wanted to know, how do you trim a long script? Anyone want to raise their hand? Who writes long? So, Margie, Heidi, do you write long?
No, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't write long scripts.
I mean, everybody writes more than you need to begin with, but then obviously you've got to just go through the whole script, go through the dialogue and the description, and see if there's any doubling up, see if there's any tangents that you've accidentally slipped in there that don't need to be there. Everything needs to be really, really tight. In fact, I just cut what I thought was a really tight script from 100 pages down to 90, and that was actually adding stuff in, believe it or not. You can do it. Just, like sentences with one, I think they're called orphans and widows, aren't they, when you've got a one word left over on a line. Just find a way to rewrite that sentence so that it takes up one line only. It's amazing how much it will change the length of the script. There's all sorts of things. And one thing I do recommend highly, and this is something I did years ago, I read a book.
Oops, she's freezing.
Oh no.
Oh no.
We'll never know about the book.
She'll come back. Heidi, did you have some advice for long script writers?
I do. Yes, just be
I
ruthless.
recommend that. Yeah.
Oh,
what did you recommend? We missed you. What, Margie? What?
what was the book? You froze.
Make your words work. Can you hear me?
Words work. Yeah.
Gary
Cool.
Provost.
Oh, cool.
I'm pretty sure it's available on Kindle now. Yeah. I really recommend it.
You know,
I'm glad you came back.
This might seem really old school as well, but I find if you go back and right from the beginning of writing your script, kind of go by Sid Field's structure. I know that's like totally old school, but if you go by that, it prevents you from overwriting because you're trying to hit certain points at page 30, page 60, page 90.
Right.
It's old school.
I agree. I would also. I would. That's a great advice, and I would say go back and outline and see where you went wrong. But you're right. If you hit the points, then you'll know, right?
Yeah.
Right, Eric?
Yeah, I got a couple on these. Oh my goodness.
You have a couple long scripts?
No, yeah. Well, I've had to cut. Yeah, I had to make some serious cuts. First of all, here's the thing. Because there's different phases to writing. And I think that's what I hope people don't try to combine, like creating and editing and polishing all at one time. Like you can't do that. You gotta focus on one thing. So okay, So you got your script. It's 125 pages, right? And someone says, well, we need you to get this down to 1/10. Let's say, okay. First thing you do is actually what Dawn was saying. You got to have certain things need to happen by a certain point. That'll get you, your inciting incident, and it all depends on what kind of genre you're writing. But let's just say you want to do the Blake save the cat kind of thing, it'd be like 12 to 15, right? So by page 15, something needs to happen. So everything that happens after 15, let's say that little segment ends at 18, you got to cut 3 pages from that, right? Okay.
Right.
So you start doing that. But here's what I found. Yeah, I use Movie Magic. Okay, I'm not plugging. That's just what I use.
Movie Magic. Right.
Yeah, I use Movie Magic. So what I do is I go scene by scene and I do page breaks. So let's say one scene is 2.5 pages, right? So you literally you do a page break at the top and a page break at the end, right? Okay, so you see that it's 2.5 pages. I need to get that to a page and a half.
So you actually go into the scenes.
Go into the scenes, because if you kind of do a big thing, what you end up doing is you might take out good stuff, and you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You just want to clarify exactly what the scene was supposed to do. You get in as late as you can, and you leave as early as you can. And a lot of times, when people get stuck is they want to describe how the person is leaving the office to go into the elevator, right? You don't need to do that. Once you hit the point, like, you know what, let's go find John, cut. You don't have to say they leave the office. You like, no, really, because this will start adding up lines and pages. And literally, I'm getting really good at cutting down to, like, crazy, like, focus. Dialogue, another big. That's what I'm saying. I got this. We could do a show on this topic.
Well, maybe we will.
Yeah, we could. Because writing is what rewriting. So I've got really good at this. And dialogue is literally no highs, no hellos, no how are you doing. Get right to where's John at? Where is he? I need whatever, right? Get right to what that scene is about and leave before it's over. You don't have to solve it in that scene. But we could do this all day. I love this. This is writing stuff. This is where I come alive. Yeah, this is where I come alive.
I think you brought up a good point. We could talk about this again, and we shall, unless anybody else had something they really have to add. We have come to the end of another show. Woohoo! Yay! We're so happy to have Dawn Fields with us. You offered some incredibly wonderful advice.
So much, Dawn. Yeah,
thank you very much.
Yes, and we'll stick around. She will be in another episode. We're going to just have everyone say goodbye and offer one word of writing wisdom. Nicole, would you like to start?
Persevere. I think I've used that one before, but okay.
That was Eric's.
Right.
Was it? Oh, okay, I'm stealing words. I'm sorry, I'm plagiarizing.
That's okay. Margie, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Faith.
Faith?
In yourself.
Nice.
That's great. Heidi?
Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Anne. And right out of Screenwriting U, elevate.
Elevate. That's a good one. Very good one. Eric?
Thank you guys again. I'm so happy to have Dawn. She has taught me so much today. Thank you so much for coming on here, Dawn. My word would be focus.
Focus.
Ooh, good.
I like that word.
Good. Very
good. Dawn, do you have a word for us too?
Well, I'm kind of new to this game, so I don't have a word, but let me just tell you this. I guess don't repeat. Can I use 2 words? Don't repeat the characters' names ad nauseum, like calling each other Jack, Rose. No, but, I swear, count the number of times that Jack and Rose say each other's names in Titanic and make it be a drinking game, and you'll be drunk before the first act.
Oh, that's a good one. That movie, it was Nicole, the one Van Helsing, with Hugh Jackman. They kept saying Van Helsing throughout that whole thing. I'm like,
well, he's the title character. You don't want people to forget the name of the movie they're watching.
And it's like once you're aware of that, you start seeing it in every movie, and it drives you crazy.
Brilliant.
In every script, you see it in every script.
Every script.
Or mom and son and daughter, listen, son. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
Yep, good point. Don't add any of that stuff in. Well, my word would just be right on, which is 2 words also, but it works.
Hyphen.
Hyphen. I believe in hyphen. Thanks again, guys. And, appreciate everyone showing up. I know your time is valuable, and you're all very busy, talented writers and producers and directors. We just keep adding on the slashes here. But we'll be back again for another episode right now. And always, you can find us on YouTube. Please like and subscribe us and send us comments. We love to know what you're thinking. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.